3, 2, 1, go.
Yay!
All right, guys, this is Sonic CD. This is the 2011 version, which is a little bit different. And yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about its history?
So, I actually don't know a lot about the history.
Of course you don't.
But now we're going into the past.
Are you sure?
I hope so.
But
We'll
yes,
see in a second.
yeah, so basically we're doing all good futures here, which means Flying Fox is going to have to take Tails back to the past and take out these machines that you've just seen destroyed on stream here. She's going to have to do that in every level, and then you're going to see some changes in the boss fights and the color palettes and that. You see it's quite interesting to watch.
Yeah, so if you've ever watched any percent of this run, we actually don't even bother with the good futures, which as you do it, they actually affect the later zones. So if you've watched any percent of Tails, it'll be a little bit different than all good futures.
And Tails in particular, he carries over a lot of his properties from Sonic 2, so his physics and movement are generally the same. And ideally, we're trying to get like we said already, we're trying to get the machines pretty much killed in the first 2 acts. That way, when we go into the 3rd act with the boss fight, we'll be in the good version, and we'll be able to do that throughout the run.
So you see there, she's hitting these kind of checkpoint signs, which are putting the sparkle effect on, which is what is letting her go to the past or the future. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're in the past. So these machines are actually located either in the past or the future. So you have to go to one of them to actually find it. Now, if you find their location in one of the others, you find like a kind of non-functioning machine.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing about going into the past or the future as well is that it actually changes the level layout. So while you're in the present, you'll have an any percent route that you can follow. When you're doing all good futures, you're not able to take those same routes because walls will be in your way or platforms will just be in a different location. So you've got to make sure you account for that variation in going to the past or the future.
Right, you're basically dealing with 3 slightly different levels in every act.
So here we come with the first boss, the very flamboyant boss. And he's dead. So, and if you've ever wondered what the end of a stage is, here you go. It's nothing.
Now, the reason that boss can be killed so quickly is for whatever reason they just didn't bother programming in any invulnerability frames for him. So you can just jump behind him and then hit him the 3 times you need to win.
So, real quick, just a reminder to everybody watching, you should donate bits to the Generations Blindfolded incentive. It's really cool.
So we got the speed shoes here, so we're going to be using those to kind of get up really high.
Oh, go.
So what you've just seen Tails do there is that he's using the flippers there to do a flipper jump where you can take the vertical momentum from the flipper and go really high with it. You'll see this happening again after we've got the machine here where we're going to turn that into a fly and it's going to just fly right across the top of the level because for whatever reason there are no ceilings in this game and Tails can abuse that to great effect.
So as you saw there, before she went back in the past, you saw the kind of destroyed machine, and then as she went back into the past, it was fully operational. So we have to take out the fully operational one.
Yeah, there are a lot of points when we go either into the past or the future where we want to set it up where we're right next to the machine and we can go ahead and get it taken care of.
So as we go into the past or go into the future, we actually... So that's also one thing. Tails just kind of doesn't care about stage layouts. But as we go into the past or go into the future, we actually lose control of Tails briefly for entering and exiting. So sometimes you can get put into a weird situation, as you'll see later on. Also, there's no ceilings in this game. Reminder that this game was also programmed by the people making Sonic Mania.
So there probably won't be any ceilings there either.
Also, shout out to Sonic Mania.
Shouts to Christian Whitehead.
Yeah. And if you're watching, put ceilings, please. So now we're going to go to the future? Present?
Present.
Present? Okay. It's time travel, come on. So, and that is a slope fly. So now we got a lot of speed with our fly, and once again, we just don't care about the stage layout.
Right, the combination of the speed shoes and using Tails' flight right off the ramp lets us just go to the end, so.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Thankfully, for whatever reason, the finish of the level extends infinitely vertically, so you can just be right up there, and the game goes, "You finished."
Yeah, we have used that quite a few times.
So you can see here, because we're in Good Future, you've got this happy blue color palette, and everything's all amazing. What's not amazing is this boss fight.
Because we all love pinball levels.
Oh yeah, you
in
gotta
our
have
Sonic
a pinball.
games.
You gotta have a pinball level.
Why
And
not
that
a boss
actually
fight?
went really
That
well.
went really
That's
well.
a really good
That
boss
went really,
fight.
really well.
Really good boss fight. So what can happen there is that there's a lot of projectiles that Robotnik is dropping, and if you get hit by them at any point, you get sent pretty much down to the bottom, and you can get yourself into a bit of a kerfuffle, but thankfully FF got through that with no problem. Really good time getting 16 seconds there.
Yeah, but it's the next acts you got to worry about.
So here we come with the slope jump, or as we like to call it, the nope jump.
All right.
And nice. Oh,
Nice. Got the
there
bounce.
we
Yeah,
are.
there you go.
Good job.
So thankfully the walls aren't fully solid, so you can kind of work your way back inbounds, which we kind of need for this level.
Yeah, that slope in particular is a bit tricky. There's actually a thing called nope slope where you can get caught and fall straight down. Thankfully, we just didn't have to worry about that.
Also, this is something that can happen when you go back in time or forward in time.
Right. Your position when you come out of a time, I guess a time warp, if you want to call it that, is kind of dependent on how Tails ends up when he's going across the screen. So it's not, you think when the screen freezes and Tails continues to move, that's the point when he's going to end up. But it's actually pretty much when the screen goes completely white. And so he kind of ends up in objects sometimes, which we use that to our benefit.
Also, Tails has a cute doggy paddle in this game.
He is a very adorable doggy paddle.
It's a
Fox
powerful
paddle.
doggy. It's a powerful doggy
Yes.
paddle.
It really is.
This music's just so chill.
So we're going to get this pass marker right here.
So as you can probably see, the pass marker, the effect doesn't really light up until you hit certain levels of speed. So you can kind of walk a little while and you won't see anything, but once you start picking up your speed, it will start showing up.
Right, like you just saw there, there weren't any sparkles or anything appearing for a good duration, but then once we actually got the setup, then we could position ourselves in where we want to go. So you can kind of hold on to it for a little bit.
The one thing you've got to worry about, though, is that once you do actually start seeing the sparkle effect happening, you've got to make sure that you maintain your speed, because if you
Right.
come to a stop, you will lose it, and you'll have to hit another signpost again.
Yeah, there's some really creative ways that we actually use to keep the speed up to maintain it. A smooth act overall.
So with Zone 3, we come with a great boss fight.
Which is a strat that I found.
The doggy paddle.
Now you can see the true strength of the doggy paddle.
So first things here is we're going to get about 5 hits on Robotnik just to make sure we can put him into the second phase. We're just going to wait for him here so he comes back down. He will. There he is. So now once he's exploding like this, he's going to open up a passageway to begin the actual boss fight, and thankfully there's a nice invincibility there that makes us able to do the doggy paddle.
And
go.
Doggy paddle OP!
So the intended strat for that boss is you have to take the air bubbles away from Robotnik and then get the one hit on him, but with Tails being invincible and having the ability to swim in there just allows him to get the hit immediately.
Yeah, and you can use some sort of like a visual or audio cue to kind of time it when you go right when the bubbles are forming the ring, so you get in there.
Also, as you've probably noticed, there's not a lot of animals in this game after you defeat the enemies or free the capsules. It's all plants.
Gotta mix it up every so often.
Yeah, you gotta change it.
We're end up right where we need to be. Go ahead and destroy this machine here.
And the exit's not that far.
And of course, like a lot of classic Sonic games, your duration of your spin dash or how many times you tap it is going to change the speed coming out of it. That's important for certain setups, especially coming off of a slope. We're trying to fall to a certain degree, whether or not you do 1 tap, 2 tap, 3. So that's pretty critical in a lot of places.
Sometimes can go all the way up to 8.
Okay. if you're a madman.
It's a good timing method, though.
Yeah.
Oh, it really is.
So you just seen there that Flying Fox deliberately stopping her momentum there so she doesn't time travel is at the wrong time. Grabbing the speed shoes here, you'll jump into another signpost that we're going to take advantage of, and away we go.
So one thing to mention that we have to be worried about, as you can see right there on the end screen, is if you have more than 50 rings, you get this little golden ring on the top that if you jump into it, you go to the extra stage. We don't want to go to an extra stage. That's bad. They're banned.
But I like my time stones.
Nope.
Are we not allowed time stones?
I don't think we've mentioned them. So yeah, there's no Chaos Emeralds in this game as well. They're time stones. It doesn't really have that ring to it, though. Oh, this is a great boss, just by the way.
It's a very straightforward fight. Pretty self-explanatory. Robotnik's going to be hurting himself for a few turns, and
So as you see, there's
This is really it.
there's kind of a treadmill underneath, and all you do is just keep speeding it up, and you destroy Eggman.
yeah, that's really about it. So if y'all have a couple of donations that you want to read off, this is a good time.
Definitely wanted to give you guys a reminder of that Sonic Generations Green Hill Zone blindfolded incentive. We are only 100,000 bits away, so make sure to get those cheers into the chat. We do have a $100 donation from Strong Bad saying, hey there, Strong Bad here, was in the Sonic running community a long time ago, had to show support for someone I've known a long time, and donate to charity to boot. Sounds like a win-win to me. Happy to see Flying Fox at her first GDQ event, and good luck on the run.
All right, so Wacky Workbench is a thing, and it's not a very good thing.
That's accurate.
It's a very rough stage with a few issues. There's a lot of floors near the bottom that will constantly kind of go in and out of this bouncing state that will send you pretty much all the way to the ceiling. There's some cases where you want to use it, some cases that we don't. It's a very sort of finicky thing.
And on top of that, there's platforms that move everywhere, some that kind of like suck you in for some reason.
Right.
Yeah, they're on a global cycle as well, so it's a very tight stage to get done properly.
Yeah, so Flying Fox back there, coming out of the time warp, actually, got pretty much where she wanted to be. There are cases where if you're not on a specific platform, if you have to move, spend a couple extra seconds moving somewhere to get where you want to be. Again, like we said, the cycles are going to be all kind of mixed up.
So Flying Fox is taking it a little safe right here. There is a little bit of time save with using that spin dash strat and kind of timing the platforms right. But it can also be really problematic, and if you mess up just a little bit, you'll hit the little bounce pad at the bottom and go straight up and just lose all kinds of time.
It costs a lot of time, but overall that was very smooth.
Yes.
Of course, we're not done yet. We still have a second. We have a whole second act. So we don't want to get that boost thing right there. We want to go ahead and drop down straight to this past, and then jump down this bounce pad right here and go ahead.
Thankfully, one of the useful bounce pads.
Yes, we actually want to use that one.
It's like the only useful bounce pad.
Just going to destroy that machine and then continue on. And there's one particular trick coming up that's again, it's a pain. So we'll explain it when it comes to it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ooh,
so right
nice.
there, that's a really tough spot. So there's these like 2 or 3 pillars that you can get stuck on, and you start wrapping around. You're actually going to see one coming up in just a second. This is going to drop on right there, and you can easily get caught on one of those. But if you position yourself just right when you hit that bounce floor, you can go straight past them. And it's a very small window.
So coming up with Zone 3 is quite a hard boss fight that the strat was found by Flying Fox here.
I regret it.
It's a bit much, and thankfully we have a moment to explain before we get to it, and then we'll give her some serious time. But there's essentially these platforms that are going to be falling down. We have to use a fast fly and get a appropriate height to where we're not too high to where the platforms will despawn, but we're also not too low to where we can't actually reach them. So we'll just let y'all watch. Okay, so we missed the first one, but there's three other turns. This is the kind of way it's done normally. We're going to bounce up.
And it's at this point, it's a small window to actually get it. So if you take a hit like that, you just have to wait it out. But we have one more chance.
I get hit by the debris. Yeah, those spikes that fall, it can knock you off. So it's a very difficult fight, very finicky.
I mean, I had it down yesterday. I just don't know what's happening.
Robotnik doing his little jig there as he's exploding. We don't know why. But yeah,
Trying
that,
to fix the machine, obviously. That's what that is, right?
possibly. But yeah, no, that is definitely the hardest speed run.
It's so hard. It's all about like 6 perfect flights. You need to be in the right position. You can't fly too high, too low, and you've got to deal with dropped inputs. It's incredibly hard.
But now we're in a place that most people recognize from this game, Stardust Speedway. Which, if you watch the Sonic Mania trailer, you'll recognize this version of it.
Yeah, I can go straight to the machine over there, not too far off.
So now the music that most people actually know Stardust Speedway from is actually the Bad Future music. So of course we won't be hearing that in this speed run. But we get a really good variation of it.
Well, it's a different game that we're going to be playing with that,
Yeah.
so y'all get to hear it.
Also, score screens are great.
They take their time in this game.
They take their time in every Sonic game.
So yeah, again, another little example of some cool movement, trying to maintain that speed to where you can go into the past or future,
And then appear right at the machine.
right where we need to be.
Also, if you haven't noticed yet, every time she hits one of the signposts for the past or future, it'll actually say which way you're going.
So again, they're just doing the time travel, using the level change to your advantage. It's a lot easier to get to the end of the level being in the present than it is in the past. And there's a Troll Spring right at the end there because why not?
It's a Sonic game.
Yeah, but they hid it behind the trumpet.
Some
Yeah,
people-
there are a handful of those throughout the levels where there will be nothing on the floor, but there's a spring there,
Yep.
unfortunately.
So now coming up to one of the more iconic boss fights in the game, the race with Metal Sonic here.
Yeah, essentially the way this works is that Metal kind of works, it's a sort of a rubber banding kind of thing, but Robotnik is always on a set path, so we kind of manipulate to where we can just get to the end easier without Metal completely, just coming from behind and obliterating everyone.
Yeah, Metal Sonic has 2 attacks. If he's behind you, he's going to do a yellow charge attack, so he'll speed up past you and then hit you. But if he is in front of you, he will slow down and do this little red and yellow force field. So you want to just make sure you're not getting hit by either of those. There's the force field there. And it's all about just getting to the end before him. Here's a little trick, just where if Tails is flying against the ceiling, he actually moves faster. So you can use that to your advantage on a few of the levels.
And there's a little bit of a slope jump to get some extra speed.
There you go.
Tails celebrating at the end, there's a little bit of a whoop whoop going on.
About time.
What took you, Robotnik?
You're too slow.
No, no.
You still love me.
I do.
Maybe.
We'll talk about it. All right, so this is the final stage of the game, Metallic Madness.
so we still got to travel through time and still get a few more machines before the end of it. But these have they're a little bit better hidden. I guess is the best way of putting.
You got to work for it a little bit more.
So the kind of the theme of this level is disappearing, reappearing platforms, a lot of machinery moving around.
So we've got a little tricking up here regarding the position of the time travel. Flying Fox is going to end up in a really special place. Now, inside the wall. And now we can just head towards the end of the level, jumping out just before this crusher here, and it skips an entire portion of the level.
Again, that's kind of going back to what we talked about earlier, where you're sort of playing with the position of coming out of the time travel since Tails ends up off the screen. These things are a little wonky in this game compared to the Sonic games. It's it's a little strange.
Here's one of the easiest time travel sequences. Tails, what are you doing?
Very straightforward.
So this is actually a really good level of showing off how vastly different the time travel actually is. Of when you come into the past year, that's just completely different. There's no strings, there's no walls, and you're more out in the open area. Because this is kind of like it being constructed compared to what you're actually in.
Yeah, and these tubes here, there's actually a bunch of different paths that you can choose from.
Also, no ceilings.
No ceilings, so we're just chilling up there.
You thought they would have put ceilings in the end of the level, but no.
Yeah.
There's a mechanic coming up where you're supposed to use the shrink ray that Robotnik has devised to navigate this level, but again,
That's
Tails can just fly and
Yeah,
away
we
he goes.
we don't have time for that.
Right to the end of the level.
And of course, thankfully, it doesn't matter that we're not touching the goal spring or the goal post. We can just pass it by. That's fine.
Now I've got really happy, cheerful music and all the animals flying around because we've saved them all. There's only one last thing we need to do, and that's stop Robotnik himself.
Let's go wait for this door to open.
So we got an invincibility box right there. There's well, I'm really into gardening, so we're just gonna get some flowers real quick. Make everything just final touches before we go defeat Robotnik. There we go. So this first section right here, there's actually a I guess a double hit that you can get. It's a very, very small window. Almost.
That's weird.
No, it is a little funny that for once they actually have a boss fight that has invincibility frames in it. And it had to be the final boss.
So taking a deliberate hit there, that way we can hit Robotnik quicker before he's coming all the way down. We don't have to wait on him. We're going to do the same for the last hit here, but we're just going to spin dash towards the corner that he goes to and hit him before he hits the ground. I believe time is coming up as well soon.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yep, last hit in just a second.
Time.
Time. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it.
Come on,
No, you want to.
do it.
All right.
Yeah!
Where's my time?
We'll find out later.
Oh,
Good time.
good marathon.
Good time.
That's
Yeah, good marathon run.
That is a good time for marathon, yeah. Thank you.